Iporan, Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. 6 anti-displaced in Tigray and Spotlight Africa. To stay with us. That have sent aid workers to volunteer their services. Africa's largest non-governmental humanitarian organization, Gift of the Givers, has also dispatched teams of rescue workers and equipment to help the huge international rescue effort. An 8-magnitude quake, with officials quoting 8,574 deaths in Turkey, deal was signed. Around 2 million people were studied, 385,000 of a 3-day visit to Ethiopia. He said everyone he had met in Tigray's capital, Mekelle, wanted to go back home. Meanwhile, the authorities in Ethiopia have banned parallel rallies by supporters of the Orthodox Church and those backing the breakaway group that were planned to be held in the capital, Addis Ababa. In a statement, the Security and Intelligence Task Force said no permissions were issued for the rallies and warned citizens to keep off. The SNOID had called for the rally, also announced it would also hold rallies on the same day. The break in Oromia are not served in their native languages. The church in the problem. A visual visit. The 77-year-old rarely leaves Eritrea. A one-party information minister, Yamen Gibri, tweeted that the president was away from that. Police reportedly surrounded the home of former Kenya and the police operation was not clear. The ex-minister's lawyer told journalists that the Matiang'i was holed up in his home and accused the government of trying to report. A group of lawyers were due to accompany the former minister to the nearest police station this morning to record a statement. Matiang'i was a powerful cabinet minister and key ally of former president, officers attached to influential. Still in Kenya, where a court has ordered that 41 Ethiopian nationals should remain in custody for another 6 days pending investigations into how they entered the East African nation. They were detained. The head of Kenya's transnational organized crime unit at the time of the police raid further afield to South Africa and also country anticipatory bail, saying he fears he could be arrested and arraigned in court for political reasons. His lawyer filed an application. The court has not ruled on the request. It comes as police said the police force had not deployed any officer to the home of the former minister. The Matiang'i family explained their mission. Meanwhile, the family says and fashion designer Edwin Chiloba, appearing before a High Court judge, Jacktone Odimbabo, denied murdering his friend in Eldoret, where he was a university student. The police near Eldoret in early January. Meanwhile, Kenya's chief pathologist said he had died from asphyxia, which caused by smothering. On a sad note, 4 miners are trapped in a rubble after a gold mine collapsed in western Kenya, Kakamega County. Happened in the short hours of Thursday and initially saw 12 artisanal workers trapped for hours. According to reports, 8 of them were rescued by the morning, following hours of digging by community members, and they are said to be in stable condition. According to the authorities, the miners were operating at an aged mining tunnel and were unlicensed by the local government. Meanwhile, Tunisian President Kais Saied announced that he has fired the country's Foreign Minister Othman Jarandi. The president appointed Nabil Amar, Tunisia's ambassador to the European Union, to replace Jarandi. He did not give reasons for Jarandi's dismissal. Jarandi is the fourth minister to lose his position this year, with the trade, agriculture and education ministers having already been replaced. Meanwhile, Said carried out a series of measures in 2021 to enhance the power of the presidency at the expense of parliament and the judiciary. In a separate development, Algeria has recalled its ambassador to France for consultations. The presidency said on Wednesday in a news spate over the evacuation of Algerian activist Amira Bakr, who is wanted by Algiers. According to a statement, President Abdelmadjid Tebboune ordered Ambassador said Morsi to be recalled with immediate effect. Baroque, 46, was arrested in Tunisia on Friday and risked being deported to Algeria, but she was finally able to board a flight to France on Monday evening. The French Algerian was sentenced in Algeria in May of 2021 to 2 years in jail for offending Islam and for insulting the president. She has not been placed under arrest since then, pending an appeal. Recall that the French President Emmanuel Macron visited Algeria in August of 2022 to repair fractured relations after a long period of tension over conflicting memories of Algeria's bloody war of independence. In the meantime, campaign groups and the opposition, the Foreign Ministry said the operations of the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights OHCHR should end as its services were no longer needed. In a letter to the OHCHR dated 3rd February, it said the government was committed to the promotion and protection of human rights. According to the letter, its decision reflected the prevailing peace throughout the country, coupled with strong national human rights institutions and a vibrant civil society with the capacity to monitor the promotion and protection of human rights throughout the country. Over long distances in the country are obligated to have rubbish bins, but it is the new requirement for bins in private cars that has got the attention of Ugandans, with many asking if there was a particular standard for what counts as a rubbish bin. Yango taxi hailing app suspended in Cameroon. Stay tuned for details of this and more after the break. Thanks for staying tuned, and now to the rest of the news. Chinese-owned private security firm has been closed in Mozambique's port city of Beira for alleged involvement in money laundering. The Attorney General's office (PGR) accuses the owner of Panda Security, GSO, of defrauding the state of about $13 million through tax evasion. Reports say another of its firms, the Thian High Patrol Station, was closed by the authorities 2 months ago, also on allegations of money laundering. The PGR also suspects him of financing terrorism, forging documents, conspiracy, and environmental crimes. GA has not commented on the allegations. In response to the latest closure, more than 3,000 of Panda security workers demonstrated, demanding 2 months of back pay. In the meantime, the authorities in the Democratic Republic of Congo said the number of people killed during the latest protest against United Nations peacekeepers has risen to 8, with 28 others injured. The military governor of North Kivu province said the peacekeepers fired in self-defense when protesters attacked their convoy as it was returning to the city of Goma on Tuesday evening. Several United Nations trucks were set on fire and looted. Over the last year, there have been several protests against the United Nations peacekeeping force, which is widely criticized for failing to stop rebel attacks in eastern DR Congo. It could be recalled that last July, more than 30 people were killed during protests. Meanwhile, Zambia's President Hakainde Hichilema has commuted the death sentences of 390 prisoners to life imprisonment. The announcement follows Hichilema's decision last December to abolish the death penalty. Home Affairs Minister Jack Mbiuma told a media briefing that following the amendment of the Penal Code, no court could now impose the death penalty. But the law could not be applied retrospectively, so some prisoners still face the death penalty unless pardoned by the president, the national broadcaster quoted him as saying. Elsewhere, Cameroon has suspended the taxi-hailing app Nyango until further notice. The Transport Ministry said it had failed to obtain a license and criticized it for using private vehicles for the transport of the public and commercial goods. The decision comes in the wake of numerous complaints from transport unions angered that Nyango drivers did not pay tax. But users of the app are happy about the suspension as an increase in fuel prices has led to hikes in the cost of public transport. One consumer union said the app offered affordable prices and guaranteed user safety. Yango is the only ride-hailing app used in Cameroon and has been available in the capital Yaoundé and the city of Douala since November 2021. It has thousands of daily users. Meanwhile, the media regulator in the Democratic Republic of Congo has ordered the local office of satellite television provider to remove Rwandan channels from those it offers to the country. The suspension will run for a period of 90 days and could potentially be renewed depending on circumstances. According to the Rwandan Chronicle site, Kinshasa accuses Rwandan channels of inciting civil disobedience among many allegations. Reports say the channel offers about 10 Rwandan TV channels, including Rwandan state broadcaster RBA, that air news and commentary programs about the ongoing war in eastern DR Congo. DR Congo, the US, and the United Nations expert accuse Rwanda of backing the M23 rebel group in the eastern part of the country. Meanwhile, Rwanda had denied this and blames the Congolese government for the unrest in the mineral-rich eastern DR Congo. Away from that, an Egyptian court has sentenced one man to death and 11 others to life imprisonment after convicted have either led IS, have carried out a wave of attacks in the Sinai Peninsula and other areas of Egypt. In a single case last year, 215 defendants received sentences ranging from 10 years to the death penalty. Meanwhile, police in South Africa have launched an investigation and appealed for witnesses following the theft of a corpse from a grave in the northern province of Limpopo. A relative made the discovery when she went to the cemetery to clean by the grave and the body of Modike Philemon Masadi missing. According to police, the suspect accessed the graveyard by cutting the fence, then dug a hole next to the grave to gain access to the coffin and stole the corpse. Masadi reportedly died on 15th of January and was buried 7 days later. In another development, a high court in Malawi has rejected a bid by the government to uphold suspension of head of the Anti-Corruption Bureau (ACB) Martha Chizuma. Chizuma was interdicted on the grounds that she was facing criminal charges whereby she is accused of defaming some high-ranking government officials. The alleged defamatory remarks are contained in a secretly recorded private conversation that she had with a person not employed by her office. In the recording, she purportedly accused some top officials in government and courts of frustrating the fight against corruption. The recording was made and circulated widely online last year, with Malawi President Lazarus Chakwera saying at the time that he had reprimanded Chizuma for the remarks. The president, however, said he would not sack her because he considered the recording and its circulation to be corruption fighting back. In the meantime, young Eritreans back from Sawa Military Training Academy in 2019 said the policy of indefinite national service image caption Eritrea given a policy of accused of evading forced military conscription. The campaign grew his youngest son. According to reports, there are other cases where people were forced to sleep on the streets. Meanwhile, young Eritreans try to has warned there is a strong possibility of famine in Somalia from April, as current weather forecasts indicate a sixth and most severe drought in decades. At an event in the capital Mogadishu, officials they have appealed for more than $2.5 million. Meanwhile, the drought has so far forced more than 1.4 million people from their homes and destroyed at least 3 fellows on social media and subscribe. I am